Welcome to the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast, also streaming on Expert CRE Secrets podcast, where we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax deferral strategy, such as the Deferred Sales Trust, is the best way for you to sell highly appreciated cryptocurrency, real estate, or a business, all tax deferred, so you can create and preserve more wealth or help your clients do the same. Hey, I'm your host, Brett Swarts. In each episode, I'm joined by some of the best real estate, financial, cryptocurrency minds in the world, where they share their ideas, deal stories, and inspiration. So together we can make complex tax deferral strategies simple and passive income plans achievable. Hey, I'm excited about our next guest. For over 20 years, he's been an executive level business IT leader with a vast amounts of practical experience and knowledge, providing leadership and planning for IT and web development projects for small and medium-sized companies, working on complex projects with multiple teams in multiple countries on a singular project, working with pre-funding, venture capital, and fund raising, and so much more. But at the end of the day, he's all about finding ways to unlock your capital or your crypto to purchase real estate. Please welcome to the show with me, Mike Waters. Mike, how you doing?
Doing great.
Glad to have you on the show. And where are you calling from today?
Salt Lake City, Utah.
Fantastic. And for our listeners getting to know you for the first time, would you give us a little bit more about your story and your current focus?
Well, I've been 20 years in the IT world. I've also been involved my whole life in real estate investing because I've been a high-paid IT executive for a very long time. And one of the best tax shelters known out there is real estate. So I've always had a love of real estate. And when I discovered cryptocurrency, that's when the light went on. And I realized there was a real solution there to merge the two. And tax deferral is one of the great words that I love to use when we talk about what I'm doing.
Fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to dive into this conversation here. By the way, we're talking about all things unlocking real estate equity using crypto and or building your wealth with real estate and crypto. So, Mike, before we go too deep into the geeking out here, because I'm excited to have this conversation with you, I want you to help us to help me and our listeners get to know you a little bit better. I want you to picture it's the high school days, maybe the university days, the earlier, younger days. I believe we've all been given certain gifts in this life. Some people call them superpowers. Some people call them strengths. And I believe these gifts have been given to us to be a blessing and help to others. So I'm curious, what are those one or two gifts that you believe you were given, and how does that help how you help and bless people today?
Well, it's interesting because growing up, one of the things that I just always seemed to gravitate towards was not how do I getting permission to do things, but finding ways that normally you couldn't get permission to do something, but then doing it anyways. That describes my high school career to a T. I know you said I had to have it done this way, but if I do it this way, is it the same thing? And I get shut down more often than I would be allowed to. But I always gravitated to that process and thinking.
That's fantastic. And I think that's timely to understand that for this conversation, right? So I make sure I can encapsulate that. So basically, finding a way to do something better or different, and not necessarily feeling like you have to ask for permission for it, just going for it. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, going for it, and doing it. The thoughts I've come out over the years are always unconventional. They're always different ways of doing things that no one ever thought of. Sometimes they work very well and sometimes they don't work at all.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Love it. So let's dive right into unlocking real estate equity using crypto. So Mike, what's the number one secret to doing just that?
Well, so real estate is a complicated issue because it has a value that tends to start low and then over time go up. And in fact, real estate's the only investment that consistently always goes up over time. But crypto is this volatile, goes up, goes down, goes up, goes down. And so the two of them merging was very, very difficult because I didn't want someone's house to be worth $1 million one day, $2 the next day, and $10 million the next day. I wanted it to reflect real world values. So I knew I had to start with a stable coin and work from there, because a stable coin wouldn't work either, because a stable coin would just be worth $1 and a home value goes up. So that's the basis of where we were starting.
Okay, so let me make sure I understand that. So first of all, it's the kind of the, I guess, the worldview of both or the performance of both investment classes. The one being in real estate, generally speaking, consistently goes up. The other one being cryptocurrency, which is extremely volatile, highs and lows, very, very high highs and some really low lows, and basically merging those two together. But the foundation of that is starting with a stable coin, or maybe one that's a little bit more consistent. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. And then where's step number 2?
Well, step number 2 is what we did was we went from a stable coin. Then after you have the stable coin, we merged it into a token per property. So what we do is in our system, we create a token per property, and then we attach that per property token to the value of the property. So we have what's now called a stable plus token. So if you buy, say, equity in a house that's worth $1 million, and let's say you bought all $1 million on those tokens, and then the house next year was worth $1,100,000, all your tokens are worth $1.10 a piece based on the value climb of that house.
Okay, I'm going to see if I got that. Okay, so you're merging the stable coin into a token, right?
Right.
And or coins. I don't know if it's plural or one, and per property. And I guess instead of it being in USD, it's owned in coins. Perhaps I don't know if I'm correct. Correct me if I'm wrong. Am I following so far?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Where does the USD go?
The USD got traded for my coin.
Got it. Right. So you exchange that, and so and as a seller, I sold with Bitcoin, whatever kind of coin.
Yeah, you could have bought USD. You could have taken whatever Dogecoin or whatever, and traded it for USDC, which is the stable coin, right? And then you go in and you buy my coins, and then that enables you to buy coins into any piece of equity. So you could spend, say you had $100, you could take $100 and buy $50 in a property in California and $50 in a property in Arizona.
Wow, and kind of instantaneous, because you're basically getting little mini shares in each property.
Yeah,
that's very cool. Okay, great. What's step number 3?
Step number 3 is, at that point, the person that has the house that they've sold the equity in, they get the USDC, and then they go off and do what they want with the USDC. So if you had tokenized your $1 million property for 1 million Quest coins, and then people had bought them and traded the USDC for it, you now have 1 million USDC coins in your pocket.
Really, really fascinating. By the way, you can learn more about Mike Waters at questcrypto.com. That's questcrypto.com. Okay, so you've the seller's got his cash, he's gone. You own the property using the token, these tokens, and then at that point, perhaps you can sell those tokens to other investors. Maybe get some of your cash back or diversify. Let me figure that out, right? If my property's worth $1 million, but it's all in tokens,
Right.
or 1 million tokens, however you want to define that, can I turn around and start selling small pieces of it?
Yeah, that's the idea. So for a real simple example is, let's say you had $1 million property and you had a $500,000 mortgage. What we would do is we'd create $1 million $1 tokens. We'd make a contract with you that we're not going to release any money until the mortgage is released to zero. Then we go out and we sell all 1 million tokens. Now, if you only want us to sell 500,000 tokens and keep the rest, that would be fine. So we would sell the 500,000 tokens, reduce your mortgage to zero, and then the other tokens you can keep in your wallet, or you can sell them later if you want, because your house is going to go up in value. But either way, by the tokenization of the property on the Quest system, you're 100% liquid with crypto instantly on your property.
Excellent. So maybe you can give me like a real life example of like a deal you've done, or maybe a student of yours, like you kind of break down, like what were the numbers, what were the reasons, what went well, what were some of the surprises.
I'll give you a real life example of a home right here in Salt Lake City. I'm going to round the numbers up just so they can keep it really round, so we don't have these long numbers. Basically, you have a $500,000 house with a $240,000 mortgage on the house. And the $240,000 mortgage had a $1,580 payment. And that $1,580 payment covered principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Okay. Then what we did is we tokenized the $500,000, $500,001 tokens. And then the tokens were sold. And now the home's equity is divided into $500,001 chunks. Then the homeowner got the $500,000 minus the $240,000 mortgage in crypto. So they got 266,000-ish dollars in USDC, and then they just use the exit ramp of their choice to get the cash out. The important thing to understand is the way Quest works is we attach the token to property rights, not to the property. And that's the important thing to understand is, so for example, these people that own the tokens on this property, they don't have the right to knock on the door and sleep on the couch. They can't trespass the house. They can't do anything because they just own the equity, right? Rights of equity, not rights of occupancy. Now, the homeowner no longer has a $1,580 payment. All they're responsible now for is their taxes, their insurance, and maintaining the property. So their expenses dropped by about 58% on the property. So a pretty dramatic drop on their expenses. But if they go to sell their property today, they're going to get nothing on the HUD-1. It's going to show zero.
Fascinating. So I'm going to try to unravel it a little bit, right? Because it's even it's new. It's definitely new, right? So tokens are attached to the property rights. In other words, I'm thinking of it kind of like a lender, right? If you owe money to somebody upon the sale of the asset and you owe all of the equity, imagine you had 100% financing, right?
Right.
You got to pay, or the value of your house dropped and you have no equity. You're going to pay the loan back and you're walking away with zero.
Right.
So it's sort of like perhaps, doing more financing, right? In one way to think about it. However, the token people do not have the right to occupy, right? They can't come in and live there. In the meantime, you pay property insurance, you pay taxes, the homeowner, right?
Yeah.
You pay the standard stuff. So it's almost like maybe between ownership and renting. Is that a fair summary?
It's better because you still have your name stays on title. So the homeowner's name stays on title. They're the legal occupied occupant, legally authorized occupant was the word I was looking for. They have all the rights that go along with property. They can, keep in mind, they're no mortgage now, right? They can rent the property out. They don't have to give that to the token owners. They can leave for a short term. They can make it an Airbnb. They can do anything they can do as a homeowner. It's just if they sell, the equity has already been sold. So
fascinating.
That's it. So what we've done
so it's better than renting because you have so much more of the rights, right?
Complete ownership. Ownership. Now, you deal with this capital gains issue, right? So I'll just say a few things without saying them. If you have equity in a home, and even if you have it paid off, and you turn all of your equity 100% into tokens, and even if you own 100% of those tokens in your wallet, at the title company, when you sell the house, it's going to show up as zero. Okay.
Fascinating. Okay.
So what happens is the title company then sends the money not to you because the equity was sold, right? So the title company sends the check to the crypto company and says, here's a payoff of the equity that you were attached to on the property. The crypto company then notifies every token owner, your tokens are now worth $1, whatever, and here's the USDC equivalent because the collateral is no longer in existence.
I'd have to see like some arrows and some like boxes and stuff, but
yes,
but I'm digging because same thing with the Deferred Sales Trust, right? There's you gotta lend the funds as an owner. You gotta lend them to the trust in exchange for a promise of the trust to pay you back over time, and you gotta have the buyer cash ready to go, or he can get a lender too, but he's got to put it there, and it's you got to kind of see in the box to kind of get it. But I imagine it's like anything, Mike. It's like riding a bike, right? The first time you ride this thing, it's like, whoa, I'm wobbly. Maybe I'm falling off a little bit. But as you're doing these deals and you're seeing it, right, it becomes more seamless. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, it does. And I can already tell by looking at you that the wheels are turning. And that's exactly what they're supposed to do. Because when you understand that you can basically take 100% of the equity and lock it up into essentially what would be considered by the title company and the IRS and anyone else as debt, you have always a zero on the HUD-1, right?
Yeah, I'm with you.
And so with the zero on the HUD-1, and then token value, you can do with what you want. You can trade the token for Bitcoin. You can trade it for cash. You can do whatever you want. And because it's blockchain, there's no real way to find out who owns it.
Okay, got it. Now, a couple questions. A, will a bank allow a loan for a property that's secured with these tokens, right? Like, in other words, like I have like a listing right now, and they won't even allow a seller to carry back paper after the first, right?
Yeah. So here's what it is what we don't use is a lending instrument. We don't use actually a note and trust deed. Okay. What we use is equivalent to taxing authority. And this is actually, there's only one way to do it in the US, the way we're describing it. And we've actually patented that process. But we actually have taxation authority. So what we do attaches to the land as a permanent cloud on title. So if you can find a lender to lend on it, the lender understands that cloud on the title is in a supreme first position, meaning they will never be ahead of them. So you probably won't get a loan on the property.
Got it. All right. So
you might find a lender that'll do it, and they might regret it because if you default, they can do nothing.
Got it. Okay. So let's the real life scenario. Right? I have clients, and they have a lot of gains and a lot of equity in crypto, and they're like, I want to go buy a house. They call up you again. They find you at questcrypto.com, and they're like, Mike, I want to buy the house in Utah and California, different state, whatever. Rental house, primary home, doesn't matter, but I want to transfer this crypto into these tokens, which I can get with you, Mike, and then go use that to buy this house. Am I following this right?
Yeah, actually, and that's one of the best scenarios for this product. I mean, what we described earlier was great, taking your equity and locking it up. But see that I'm seeing a lot of articles right now. People are buying houses with Bitcoin, and that's a very disingenuous thing that they're saying, because they didn't actually buy the house with Bitcoin. What they did was they sold their Bitcoin, used the money to buy a house. And the taxing entities are going to catch up with them. Because if they paid, like I know a guy that paid he had $10,000 worth of Bitcoin, and now he's sitting on top of $18 million worth of Bitcoin. If he sells that Bitcoin to buy a house, what he's going to be stuck with is a capital gains tax on the difference between the $18 million and the $10,000 he paid. It's going to be a capital gains. He's not going to get out of it. He's done with it, right? And then he just bought real estate with it, which is now going to be subject to a capital gains. So by doing that, they expose themselves to double taxation. And I know you know exactly what I'm talking about. Whereas if somebody wanted to buy a house with crypto, they would come to us. They would say, that's the house I'd want to buy. We would tokenize the escrow. They would then take their crypto, trade it for our crypto, which is a like for like exchange, right? They then take it, make a like for like exchange, fund the escrow. We would then close the escrow agreement with the title company and send them a check. We would cash the USDC, send the title company a check. We would give the title company the documentation to record it title, and then you would now be in your home.
Got it. So I think it's kind of like perhaps a 1031 in crypto into real estate.
It's exactly like that. That's one of the things that we modeled was a 1031 exchange. How does it work, and how could you do that in crypto? So that's where one of the ideas of our product came around.
Yeah. So essentially, this house is in USD, or it was in USD, but now we basically have transferred that to a token, right? And then and all the rights and all the things that are associated there, and then you're just trading, your crypto for these tokens, which means you're trading, which these tokens own that house, right? Individual token, Mike, or is it only for that particular house, or is it
so what it would be is you buy the Quest token, which is our stable $1 coin. It's worth $1 today. It's worth $1 10,000 years from now, right?
Got it.
And then you take that. So the guy would take, let's say he had a $5 million house. He would take $5 million in Bitcoin and buy $5 million of our stable coin. At that point, we do the trade immediately, and now we have the $5 million in cash. So we now know that if he goes and buys a $5 million house, we have the cash to cover it, because it's that volatility that can destroy this, right? So again, he takes his Bitcoin, he cashes it in for 5 million Quest. We immediately sell it, and now we have 5 million in USDC in our account. Then we create a Quest dash Bob's house token. So it would be Quest dash a serial number. Then that serial number creates the tokens that he can then spend those Quest tokens on that are attached specifically to that house.
Mm-hmm.
And that house is we have a database that looks just like a real estate MLS. Beds, baths, pictures of the house, everything, including appraisals, etc., that are visible to anybody that wants to buy the token. They can, in fact, click inside the token information. There will be a hyperlink that will bring up the appraisal, that will bring up all the things on the property. And they can say, what token am I buying? I'm buying a token in that house right there. And they would be able to look at the house. They would be able to see when it was last appraised, how it was bought at $1, and it's currently trading at $1.30 because the property's gone up 30% in value since it was tokenized. Everything they need.
That is really interesting, really fascinating, and feels like it's the future. I feel like, it's that movie Tron, right? When you're like, and you're taking me down like these streets that are leading to like the city that's in the future, right? And you're like, wow, like, that's it's pretty incredible, Mike. I'm curious, how many of these transactions have been closed, and then two, how many escrow people? I imagine their heads explode, right? Because they're so used to doing the old way of doing things, right?
Well,
how are you educating or empowering some escrow people to actually cooperate?
Great. So actually, that's a series of questions. So one, the first thing I'll say is when we built the system, I have bought and sold over 200 real estate transactions in my life, commercial, residential, multifamily, single family. So I know how the real estate world works. Our CEO, he's an attorney, and he's also heavily delves into real estate and property rights. When we designed the system, we said we've got to make it so it overlays right on top of existing systems. So right now, I'm going to say, unless they're completely like want to fight with us, title companies will find very little difference in dealing with us versus a mortgage company. All we're going to tell them is, we are Quest Crypto. We're doing crypto loans, is what we tell them, because that's all they need to know. And where do you want us to wire the money? And then the documents that you're going to record are these, and they're not like anything you've ever seen, but here's the instructions on how to record them.
There's tons of overlap here, Mike. Mm-hmm. So like literally like with the Deferred Sales Trust, it's still very, very, in our circles, it's well known, but most of the commercial real estate world, we did like a primary home sale in Palo Alto, and it was an Old Republic. She's been there for 30 years and she had never seen it. And her mind was exploding. And we're like, hey, just talk to the tax attorneys, like thousands of closes, billions under management. Like they'll walk you through every step of the way, and just oh yeah, it's kind of like that. And here's the form, here's the thing to box, here's how to report it. It's just an installment sale, right? You've done installment sales. Yeah, I have. Well, we're just using a trust, but it's still outside the box. So you've got to kind of hold their hand. By the way, I will mention that the Deferred Sales Trust can defer capital gains tax, right, on the sale of real estate. It can save a failed 1031 exchange. It can defer capital gains tax on the sale of cryptocurrency. In fact, the first one, I call it break the 4-minute mile mark, Mike, because for the longest time, the Deferred Sales Trust only had been done for public stock, private stock, artwork, collectibles, real estate businesses, primary homes. And then about 60 days ago, we did the first Bitcoin Ethereum case. The couple, Silicon Valley, bought it for about $100,000. It went up to 13 million, their value of their coins. And they were able to sell a big chunk of that and defer the capital gains tax. And the cool thing is once the funds are there, you can't do a primary home, which sounds like your stuff is advantage there, but you can do investment property. You can partner with the trust, and you can buy investment property and get the depreciation, get the appreciation opportunity. And then you can also diversify it into cryptocurrency, into stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, into a new business venture, into hard money lending. I had a client who sold a $2.6 million business in Alabama, and he's building 70 multifamily units in Tennessee, all tax deferred with the trust. So very flexible, but for those who haven't done it, can kind of be overwhelming. So what are some ways that you've tried to simplify this for those who are being educated with this?
Well, it requires a little, you have to kind of unscrew your brain and then put in a new a whole new thought process on this. And we are very similar. So after this call, I recommend us hooking up, because we could definitely talk about some of our larger clients that we deal with, because there's places where we can't help them and you can. And there's places, one of the things that the Quest Crypto allows you to do is let's say you had a property with $10 million. You could effectively, if you had 10 million $1 US coins from your own property, you could effectively buy $1 in 10 million different properties. You can create a digital REIT if you wanted out of your property. And you can collateralize that REIT. So you could put that REIT, you could put all those tokens into a box, and then you could collateralize the box and create your own mortgage-backed security.
Wow.
Yeah. So we've got some really cool tools. I don't really talk about it to the average guy because they're not as smart as you and don't understand how the game is played.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, I started at Marcus & Millichap, commercial real estate broker by trade. Grew up in the real estate business with my dad.
Right.
Custom homes, rentals, room additions all my life. Fell in love with commercial real estate, and then learned the hard way with the 2008 crash that clients had an old blockbuster way of doing things, which was the 1031, sell high and buy higher 180 days later. And we were like, there's got to be something different. So I can kind of relate with your gift in the beginning, what you said, right? Like unconventional thing. I'm like, there's got to be a better way. Or maybe there's a better way. Let's try it out. And that was the Deferred Sales Trust. And fast forward, it's to us, it's the Netflix way of doing things. But it does take some time to understand it. By the way, I do want to ask you just about that, right, real quick. The biggest frustration with capital gains tax, and when it comes to selling cryptocurrency, right? What do you find in the crypto world is the biggest frustration when it comes to options or lack thereof?
Well, first of all, it's education. Okay. You've got a lot of 20-year-old multimillionaires running around. Okay. And they're like, I'm just selling my crypto and buying my Maserati and I'm like, dude, stop what you're doing right now. Stop. You need to stop the party, because what you're doing, it's going to catch up with you. The IRS is going to come in. They're going to get you off your basis points. And then the party's going to come crashing down. And it's because they're young kids. They think so much that they're doing things so differently than the way their parents do. They think they've hacked the system. And they have, in a wide variety of ways. But the problem is when you go from that digital world to the real world, you now have this, okay, put the brakes on and do it right. So that's the number one frustration I'm having is people with large amounts of Bitcoin understanding that, yes, they have money, but they have a problem that they don't even realize. Get them to where that's the number one problem. The number two problem is getting them to, like, the crypto community is all about sticking it to the man. I got money, I did this, and I don't have to deal with the man, right? The man is government or whoever, right? So it's strong libertarian circles. And the second problem there is getting people to understand that you have a partner and he's called the government. And you have to do some homage to the man or the man will get you. So it's like those two little thought processes. Yes, you've hacked the system, but no, you haven't. And then you're still going to have to do business with the man. You have to get those people to be aware of that. Then we can have an intelligent discussion about what to do about it.
I think that's so thoughtful and so timely, right? And there's so many folks before they meet us, or we're talking with you, Mike, that feel like they're trapped between a rock and a hard place, right? And there are many that actually want to report properly and sell properly if they didn't feel like the tax was so high. This is where I highly encourage you to get with Mike, to get with me, to look at your options, right? I don't know, Mike, if you charge anything. I don't charge anything to talk about
I don't
these
either.
strategies, right? And we want to just give you the options. And then the neat part about the Deferred Sales Trust, Mike, and I'm curious on your thoughts on this, is we literally tell the IRS, hey, we bought it for X, we sold it for Y, but we haven't taken any constructive receipt. In fact, we're in a deferral place. That's why we're kind of like an IRA or kind of like a 401k. And it's sitting there and it's earning interest and it's slowly paying us back, and we'll pay tax on the interest on ordinary income. And then we can partner with it and go do other deals. But what I like to say is, there was a cool video by Grant Cardone he just made the other day about making sure you're buying the adequate amount of real estate to get the depreciation to offset your income. And most people that are making a lot of wealth very quickly, they're going to buy all of these things, and they're in the highest possible tax bracket because they don't have the depreciation to offset it. And it's like building a house on sand, right? Mm-hmm. Where it's going to catch up with you, right? the man, right, the government, right,
Mhm.
as incompetent as they are with our tax dollars, right, they are going to come find you, and you don't want to be in that situation where you don't have a proper tax plan and you haven't paid taxes on these things. So all that being said, with the deferred sales trust, we say, hey, sell. We're actually literally reporting it. I bought it for $1 million. It's worth $20 million, right? And here it is, but I'm taking it back on an installment sale, and I'm paying taxes slowly along the way. And by the way, the government likes that because it stimulates the economy. The funds are invested in real estate projects, they're invested in the stock market, they can be invested into your own business startup, create some more jobs and more tax revenue. So you want to find a way to make it a win-win-win for everybody. You don't want to hide, you don't want
Correct.
to just be off the radar. You literally say, "No, here I am, and let's play by the rules, and let's use the legal framework of the tax code to create and preserve more wealth and defer tax." Any thoughts on that, Mike?
I couldn't agree more. That's exactly what a message I'm trying to tell people is. Yes, you got a lot of money. You aren't hack the system though. You're gonna have to pay.
Yeah,
The
like death
man's
and
gonna come
taxes,
down.
right? It's
Yeah,
only
the
the only
man.
two things that are consistent: death and taxes. And by the way, you can learn more about Mike Waters at questcrypto.com. That's questcrypto.com. You can learn more about the Deferred Sales Trust and what we're doing at capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. That's capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. I also want to invite Mike and anyone else listening to this to our free mastermind every Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We're on a Zoom call, and it's called basically Cryptocurrency DST Mastermind. We're talking all things cryptocurrency, all things deferred sales trust, and we're coming together to try to simplify all of these types of scenarios. And you can come on, ask your questions, and learn more. Again, you go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com to register for free. That being said, Mike, we're running out of time. Are you ready for the lightning round?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So knowing what you know now, if you could go back to your 25-year-old self, what's the one golden nugget you'd make sure to tell yourself to do?
Never, ever, ever sell.
Real estate or crypto or what? All of it?
No, your real estate. Don't sell.
Yeah.
Find a way to hold it.
Yep. Second question. What's the number one book you've recommended or gifted the most in the past year?
I'm going to say that one. Oh man, it left my brain. I've got it right here. Hold on. He's going to love it. It's Sell Like Crazy: How to Get as Many Clients and Customers as Sales as You Can Possibly Handle by Sabra Sudi.
Awesome. Great. Third question. What's the number one leadership quote or theme that you strive to live by?
My theme is, when you help everybody win, there's nobody that can hate you. And yet you can get rich doing that. If you can find a way to make everybody love the deal, then there's nobody that hates you and everybody loves you. Yep.
Excellent. Love it. Next question. What are you most curious about right now?
I'm most curious about where government's headed with crypto, what they're going to do about it, because they can't stop it.
Yeah, me too. Last question. After all your success, all your knowledge in real estate, there are over 200 transactions, connecting the crypto world, creating an amazing thing at questcrypto.com. Although that would be kind of a cool name too, questcapitalcrypto.com. But questcrypto.com. How do you stay centered in your values, Mike? And how do you stay encouraged to charge forward to reach new heights?
I always stay forward in my values, and our concept is people should be able to use their equity as money in their wallet to spend in the world. My values are very much rooted in our founding fathers' beliefs that your title was your standing and ability to operate inside the system. So I stay focused on core fundamental American principles about morality and just being a God-fearing, honest person.
Fantastic. Couldn't agree with you more. Would you remind our listeners one last time, what's the best place for them to find you?
Well, you can email me directly at mike@questcrypto. I so far haven't regretted that. I do get a lot of emails, but nobody has sent me anything weird yet. So I won't change that today. Email me there if you have questions or if you have ideas, because there's a lot of things that we're doing, including we're financing an $8 billion casino project in Las Vegas right now using cryptocurrency. And there's a lot of ways for people to get involved. And essentially, we built the model so that anyone with $1 in their pocket can be an investor in real estate using our system. So it's pretty cool.
It's really cool, Mike. Hey, I want to thank you for being on the show. I want to thank you for thinking unconventionally as a youngster, even right now, right? Kind of challenging the status quo and figuring out ways to unlock ways to create and preserve more wealth with crypto, with real estate, and giving people more freedom. I think that's an amazing thing what you're doing. I want to encourage you to keep doing it. And I also want to thank our listeners for listening to another episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast, also streaming on Expert CRE Secrets podcast, where we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax deferral strategy such as the Deferred Sales Trust is the best way for you to sell highly appreciated businesses, real estate, cryptocurrency, and or getting with Mike Waters, instead of selling that crypto, trading it, transferring it into these tokens and buying real estate. Really cool. Make sure you check him out. By the way, one last reminder as well, Mastermind every 10 a.m. PST. In order for you to get comfortable with what we're talking about, it takes time and energy and input, right? Everyone coming together and figuring out the better way to do it, asking good questions, challenging all of the things that we're talking about. We'd love to have you come on. 10 a.m. PST. Just go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com to register right now. Invite a friend, invite a crypto friend, invite a real estate friend, a financial advisor friend. We're going to connect there. Thanks so much for watching and hearing this. And if you're listening to this on iTunes, and we look forward